Welcome back. This is the second video in the series of 2 videos about calibrating a tape machine. This video we're going to actually get hands on the machine, we're going to hook the meter up, we're going to make the adjustments on the tape cards, we're going to do an azimuth adjustment, we're going to do an input level, an output level, and a recording level adjustment. We're going to bias the machine. If you have not seen the first video, there's a link to it in the description. I would suggest if you're brand new to this, watching that first, because that video is full of information that I think is really important and I wish I would have known before I started on this adventure with this tape machine. And there's a couple of key concepts that I think are just really good to wrap your head around, and it will make the rest of this video make a lot more sense. So please check that out if you have not already. I made a disclaimer in the last video, but I'm going to say it again. I'm not some person that's been, mixing albums for 20 years. I'm not an engineer. I'm just a musician that has a home studio, and I got into tape. I'm just learning this as I go, and I'm going to share a few things that I've learned along the way. If you are somebody that knows a lot more about this than I do, awesome. If you have some tips, pointers, or if I say something that is absolutely untrue, which is possible, feel free to correct me. Just be nice about it, okay? But if you're an asshole, I'm just going to block you and get rid of your stupid comment. Behind me here is a Tascam MS-16. It's a 16-channel reel-to-reel tape recorder. It uses 1-inch tape. Today we're going to get it set up, or +3 over 250. And we're going to get it ready to rock and roll. And I'll explain what all that crap means here in a few minutes, so stick around. First thing that the manual says to do is to demagnetize this thing. It also says to make sure this thing is far away from stuff when you turn it on and when you turn it off. I don't know why, but apparently it can fuck something up if you keep it too close. So we're going to move it up and down these tape heads and all this metal shit that's in the path of the tape to demagnetize it. So there. Alright, so it's turned on. Get it close to something metal. You can feel it kind of a vibrating thing happening.
Done.
Now the next thing we're going to do, I got this and I got these, and we're just going to clean everything in the tape path that's not made of rubber. We loaded on a test tape here, and I rewound it so the tape is over here. It's going to go that way. We're just going to press play, and we're going to look along the tape path and see if we see any curling on the edges of the tape. And I do not see any. Looks great. Okay. All right, so the next adjustment we're going to make is called the azimuth. So if you imagine the tape going along like this, you have a head here, like a playback head. The tape moves across here. The azimuth adjustment adjusts the movement of the head this way.
This way, this way, this way.
You have this MRL tape, and it plays a known signal at a known volume. We're going to play that back. We've got channel 2 output and channel 15 plugged in here, so one on the top and one on the bottom. The outputs come into this oscilloscope. I got this from Amazon. And what's going to happen when we play this back, you're going to see some frequencies here. So we can see the phase relationship between these two graphs. We want it to be less than 90 degrees out of phase. And that looks pretty close to being in phase. If we were to zoom in, we'd see it's a little bit off, but it's not any more than 90 degrees off. So that means we're aligned properly on that, and the azimuth is where it needs to be. So we're not going to fuck with that either. But just in case you do want to fuck with it, here are the azimuth adjustment screws right down at the bottom of the back of that head. There's one. It's a hex head screw here and here. That's the record head and the sync head, and then this is the playback head. Speaking of that, I'm going to play that back again. We're going to switch this over to sync. Which means now we're going to be playing this tape back through this head right here. We're on track 2, so we're going to switch the input to sync in 15, and then we're going to look at that. So now we're playing it back through the sync head, and that still looks really good, so we are not going to fuck with that one either. Alright, let's see here. Input level calibration. And 206, okay. Output select. So this is basically what we're listening to. We want to hear the input signal. So we're not actually using anything from the tape. What's happening is you got a signal coming in, that same signal come out, in, out. It doesn't do anything at all with the tape. So that's gonna be the first thing we check. And we're gonna do that by connecting this handy oscilloscope and signal generator. It's in a 1 kilohertz tone at +4 dB, which is 1.2 volts. And then we're gonna go back to menu here and go to our oscilloscope, which is coming from output of channel 6. And it's reading the signal coming back in here. So I've taken this VU meter panel down, and behind here are all the tape cards. Each one of these goes to one of the corresponding channels, and basically it's just a circuit. Each one of these are labeled, and in the manual it tells you which ones to adjust during which adjustments. This is the input level. We're sending a signal in that's 1.23 volts, and we're getting that same thing back as you can see on there, 1.23, and that's what it should look like. If that were not the case, then I would take this little ceramic tipped or plastic tipped screwdriver and slide it up in there and adjust this until the level matched. Once that is set properly, then we want to make sure that our VU meter for channel 6 in this case is set to 0 dB, and that's exactly where it is. I will mess it up now just for you because I love you. Channel 6. Here we go. Turn the thing here. So we're getting a known signal, whoops, coming in, and we're getting it coming back out, and it's reading 0 dB, and that's exactly what we want. So we're going to do that for all 16 channels. So we have this test tape, this MRL, which is also 1 kilohertz tone at +4. This reference tape is 250 nanowebers per meter tape. And when we play back this test tone, we're going to look at the VU meter for channel 6, and we're going to adjust the output level. Instead of reading 0 VU, we're going to back that down to a -3. And so that way we'll make up for it when we adjust the recording level. This is set to repro because we're going to be listening to what's playing back on the tape. Let's see what it do.
1 kilohertz.
All right, you can see channel 6 is real hot right now because I just screwed it up so we could fix it on the video. Now I'm going to back that down where it says -3. We're going to go back to that 1 kilohertz tone again, and we're going to play that. And we've got this now set to sync on here. So instead of listening to the repro head, we're listening to the sync head, which is the center one right here. Remember, it's also the record head. We're going to make sure that level is where it needs to be. 1 kilohertz tone, and you can see on these VU meters that they're all at -3, which again for this is exactly where we need it to be. I'm going to fast forward this tape. It takes a few minutes. All right. There we go. Back in the case, back on the shelf. This is some of that SM911 tape we're going to put on here. And we're going to record some tones onto it. The next thing to do is the bias adjustment. We're going to do it. We're going to use our signal generator again. It's a sine wave. We're going to turn it on. We're going to turn it off. It needs to be a 10 kilohertz tone, and it needs to be at 0.69 volts. This one only does 0.7, so we're just going to go with that. And we're going to turn it back on. Okay, again, this is the SM911 tape. It's supposed to be biased according to the data sheet on this particular tape at +4. We're going to record this particular tone onto this tape, adjust the bias potentiometer so it's R211 on this one, and we're going to turn it all the way to the left. So we're going to watch the meter down here on the channel, and we're going to increase the gain on this thing and watch the needle move. So whatever peak it hits, we're going to increase this until the needle goes 4 dB below that peak point we hit. Got this set to record. We're going to be monitoring the repro head. So we're recording on channel 6. There's our test tone. We're ready to go, so we're going to hit play and record at the same time. Now we're recording the tone, and we're going to look at channel 6 on the meter. We're going to adjust this right here. So I'm going to turn it all the way down. It didn't do anything. That's because it's the wrong channel. We're at -1. So I'm going to start increasing this gain. So the -1 is probably our peak. So we're going to back it down to -5, which is right about there. There we go. Now it's properly biased. I got to do channel 7 since I hooked that one up. All right, I fixed channel 7. The last part of this whole setup is going to be to bring that recording level up to make up the difference we talked about earlier. So back here on the signal generator, the sine wave, we're going to go to the frequency, and it's going to be 1000 hertz at 1.23. We're going to record that signal onto channel 7, and while it's recording, it's playing back through the repro head, and it should be reading -3 or somewhere around there. And we're going to adjust this recording level, which is R207, which is right here. There we go. We're going to adjust that one and bring it up louder to give us our volume back. Let's see what happens. Let's go ahead and get on the oscilloscope. Bring that record level up so that meter reads 0. Close to 1.2 there, as you can see on the oscilloscope. The VPP right here is reading 1.21, which is pretty darn close. So let's try it out. Let's play some funky bass lines, see what it sounds like now. Channel 7. That's moving. Look at channel 7 there. That's looking good. So let's record something, see what happens. Fuck. Play and record at the same time. There we go. Are you okay? Oh God. Try again. Shit. Beautiful. Stop. Go back. Let's hit the repro. That's about what it looked like when we were recording it. We're high above that noise floor, so we still get some tape hiss, of course, but we're going to get the most out of this brand of tape. Recording at +6 over 185 or +3 over 250. That's it. Work that thing. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. See you later.